Hi there, my name is Jamie, and welcome to October's episode of Quick Market Talk with Experts. Sing Fu, a veteran remisier from CGS-CIMB Securities and an SGX Academy trainer, is back with us for another episode after last speaking on the 20th of July. 2 months ago, he shared his bullish view on DBS and UOB. Now let's hear about how his ideas have panned out since and what other short-term trading ideas he might have in this current market. Hi, Sing Fu. When our previous episode went live on the 20th of July, you mentioned your bullish view on DBS, where you predicted a support level of $32 and a target exit level of $33. Now, my question to you is that, given that DBS never went down to $32 since, would you have entered into a long position on the shares or the call warrant and exited at $33, which it hit 5 days later on the 26th of July?
Hi, Jamie. Right, good to be back again. Let's take a look at the DBS chart plotted here. All right, so the first lower line here is actually the price level of $32, which I mentioned in the video as a support level. And the target price of $33 is right about here, which is actually one of the previous resistance. Okay, when we did the video on and the video went live on the 20th of July, right, the share was trading around $32.50. Okay, so given the support level is $32, my overall plan would be that if there's any retracement in the share price of DBS, I will take a view to buy the share at about 30. I mean, any retracement towards the 32 level. However, it didn't go down to exactly 32, but once the share price starts to pick up in volume and rebound, I see around about here, say about 37.75 or so, it could have been a good entry point. Okay, so it did went past to $33 and went on to reach a high of about 34.40. This is exactly when the results was being announced on the 3rd of August. So Jamie, given the how the DBS share has performed since our last video, how has the DBS warrant that we shortlisted performed?
Yeah, thanks, Seifu. The warrants that we shortlisted on the day of the video on the 20th of July was DBS call 8R9W. In order for us to see how the warrant has performed historically, you can go to warrants.com.sg, go to the warrant tools drop down and hit the historical performance tab, and you'll be taken to this page where you can enter the DBS warrant of 8R9W. Now that you have arrived here, you see the warrant shows 8R9W. Now, if you had entered into the position on the 20th of July, the day our video went live, you would have gotten in at 6.4 cents and gotten out at 7.1 cents, which was a 10.9% gain, given that the underlying went up 1.8% to the $33 resistance level that you're talking about, right? So there is about a more than 6 times return on the warrant. Now, you said that you would have entered around 32.74 Sing Fu, which provides confirmation of the upward trend, and I think that was around just 25th of that would have been 5 days later on the 25th of July. And all it took was a day for it to go up to $33, which was a resistance. In fact, it went to 33.12, and that was a 1.2% gain. Now, in this case, the warrant would still have made gains, a bet for just 7.6% now, just because the percentage gains on the stock was a bit smaller. But all in all, you get around more than 6 times return if you had gone long on DBS shares for these date periods relative to the stock. But of course, Sing Fu, if you had gotten your view wrong and then DBS was in fact down 1.2%, then we would have seen a magnified loss on the warrant as well instead of a gain. Sing Fu, the other stock that we talked about, which went to your resistance level or the target exit level that you talked about, was UOB, where you cited a support of around $27.20, and then you shared a short-term resistance of $28.50, followed by $29. Now, how would you have initiated your long position, and would you have exited on those resistance levels that you talked about?
Yes, Jamie, let's take a look at the UOB chart. So the lower horizontal line that we see here is 27.20, which is actually a support that I mentioned. Okay, the upper horizontal line, which is actually 28.80, is around right about I think it's $29 to $28.50. Right, is exactly where the resistance is. Okay, so on the day when our video released, it was in fact the day before that actually UOB actually had a big spike, and then the around on July 2020 when the video was released, the UOB share price was at 28.40. Okay, so given the upward move for UOB, right, it will be logical that we have to move up the support to around this level. Okay, so this will be around the $28 level. So if I'm taking a bullish view, which I had, okay, so with the results given coming out on the 27th July, a potential trade would be to look for a pullback in the price towards $28 to pick up the warrants. Okay, so a potential entry level could be around 28.30 with a view to look for a rally towards the results period or results when it's released on the 27th of July. Jamie, so given the how the UOB share price has panned out, you want to highlight to us how has the UOB warrant that was shortlisted on the day itself performed?
Okay, Singfu, taking a look at the trending core warrant that we talked about, tracking UOB shares on the 20th of July, that would have been EXFW. We could again go to warrants.com.sg, go to warrant tools, drop down to the historical performance tab, select the warrant of EXFW here, and we would arrive on this page, okay, where we can look at how UOB call EXFW performed. Now, you mentioned how you have gotten into a long position on UOB shares if the stock had pulled back to around the $28.30 level, which it did on the 24th of July. It closed at $28.35 and the warrant price was 4.8 cents accordingly. Now, 3 days later, when UOB shares announced its results on the 27th of July, the stock gapped up above the $29 resistance level you talked about and finished at $29.88 on the 28th of July. Now, according to this 5.4% gain on the UOB shares, this warrant would then have clocked a 27.1% gain, which is more than 5 times the amount of the underlying share price performance. So this warrant would have basically made you 5 times more in terms of percentage return. And I would say that would have been a pretty good trade, right, Singfu?
Yes, Jamie.
So now that we have done our recap on DBS and UOB, and hopefully, executing on those trades via the warrants would have made you positive returns, can you just share with us what other trading ideas you have amidst the current market, where I think it's currently marked by a hawkish Fed and slow economic growth in China, but also really high oil prices, followed by energy prices as well. So what's your take?
Yes, and the current market is pretty volatile, right, I would say. However, we are able to still spot shares that are actually on a very sustainable, steady uptrend basis. One of the stock that I actually like based on the chart is Keppel Corp, right? You will notice that from left to right, the 12-month period, the share has very much been on a upward march. Okay, so we have also seen support levels around such levels like 620, $6.40. It's retraced back to this level, which is actually at about 660. Okay, so it looks like the share price is going to continue its upward trend, given the 200-day moving average is still sloping upwards and the 100 days is still sloping upwards. However, it's going through some kind of short-term consolidation now. Right, so first support level will be around the 660 region. If the price hold above this level, right, and if there's a likelihood that the share price can continue its upward march, especially given that the stochastics, right, are on the oversold region, right, so this could be a potential point to pick up the share, looking for a continuation in the share price, right. So the resistance level that I'm talking about will be around this level. The first target price will be around $7, okay? And the next target we're looking at, if the $7 break, will be the previous high of $7.40. So Jamie, given this view, how would I be able to execute this trading plan using the Macquarie warrants?
Yeah, so to repeat, your support level is around 650, which could also turn out to be a cut loss level if the stock went below that.
Yes, correct.
Okay, and then we are targeting for $7 and potentially $7.50 thereafter.
That's right.
Okay, now it's important that we have this trading plan because in order to trade warrants, one needs to have a trade plan on the shares and use the warrants to really trade the trade plan. In this case, thereafter, you could use the warrant selector tool. The warrant selector tool is found on the warrant tools drop down, and this is how the warrant selector tool works. And basically what it does is it allows you to share your trade plan, and it helps you in turn decide on your maximum holding period via the warrants available. Now you are bullish, so we will choose a call. Okay, and now this selector tool basically allows you to put in the last price on the shares. So you could either choose to enter now, but if you wanted to wait till maybe $6.70, for example, you see that the current price will update accordingly to where it will be, depending on where the underlying is. So in this case, if it's $6.70, you could get in at 5.2 cents via this warrant here, VBEW. But of course, if we wanted to get in now, hit the reset button, you would be able to enter at 5.6 cents. Now, in order to see how this warrant will perform and ascertain the maximum holding period, you need to put in the target levels according to the trade plan. So in this case, if we start off with $7, there is a 2.8% gain from where the Keppel Corp shares are trading today. Now, how long can we hold on to this warrant for based on this 2.8% target price? We simply increase the number of weeks. Okay, you see in a week's time, it will generate a 10.7% return. And that is about more than 3 times what the underlying shares are doing and making you in terms of percentage gains. But if you were to hold it for 2 weeks, the gain will go from 10.7% to just 8.9%. And if you increase it for another week, by the 3rd week, it will make just 7.1%, given a 2.8% return in Keppel Corp shares. Now, why is that? This is the effect of time decay or the holding cost of the warrant setting in. Basically, the longer you hold on to the warrant, the more time decay you have to pay, and that in turn eats into the percentage gain of the warrant. Now, you increase this number of weeks to the point where it no longer makes you as much return as the underlying. So the whole point of using a warrant Singfu is because you enjoy the geared returns that it potentially provides, right? If the warrant now were to only make 1.8%, that is less than the underlying share performance, right? In this case, then you probably wouldn't want to consider using the warrant. And so the maximum holding period for this warrant is in fact 4 weeks. If your view was that Keppel Corp will go up to $7, which is 2.8% higher from here. But if you were to increase the resistance to $7.50, you'll find that immediately the gains jump. So now, even if you held onto it for 4 weeks or even 5 weeks, you will see that the gains will still be magnified relative to the share return. In this case, now Keppel Corp shares will have gone up 10% from today. And what's the maximum holding period? Again, you increase the number of weeks. And you see that by the 8th week, 9th week, 10th week, it will still make you more geared returns relative to the shares. So with this warrant, if you have a $7.50 target level, obviously you can afford to hold on to it for 10 weeks or longer. But if your target level was only $7, you wouldn't want to hold it up to 10 weeks. And the maximum you would want to hold it is probably for 4 weeks only. So Singfu, I hope the selector tool was useful in guiding your decision on whether to use a warrant or not. And if you were looking to use a Keppel Corp warrant to trade your view, then now you will know the maximum holding period or the maximum time horizon for your view to be realized.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you very much for your insights.
Okay, and now we've come to the end of the session again, and I hope, this turns out to be useful for whoever who is watching. For those who enjoyed this video and would like to continue to be updated on these videos and conversations with Singfu, be sure to subscribe to the Macquarie YouTube channel, as well as follow us on Telegram and Facebook, where we keep you posted. Now, Singfu, thank you very much again, and I look forward to chatting with you again the next time.
Thank you, Jamie.
Take care.